Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome to another edition of eHeroes. Today, I'm bringing on a special guest because I want all you entrepreneurs listening to know that your greatness can be magnified. So, welcome, Sarah McVanel, and thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. And I know you're up in Ontario. I'm in Pennsylvania. It's still cold. Um,
Oh my gosh, is it ever? We've got to stay warm through connection because it's going to be a long winter this year.
oh yeah, and I'm kind of glad you mentioned long winter because a lot of people have been saying long winter, and it's we've been spending 9 months kind of in this long winter already with this
Yeah.
pandemic. A lot of these entrepreneurs are stir crazy. They want to get out. They've been told they can't run their business. They've been told they
Mm.
can't do certain things, and I've been operating my business out of my home, out of my office for the last 7 years. For
Mhm.
me, it's never changed. I continue to get up, to do work, to write books, to generate social content for my clients. But there's others that they have restaurants, they have mom and pop stores. They can't operate.
Mhm.
What do you say to them?
Yeah. Well, certainly my industry in the speaking world hugely, I mean, could absolutely relate to that too. It's not just bricks and mortars, it's also the events industry and speakers and conference centers. And it's mind boggling. If we thought this time last year, what would we be facing? I don't think you or I could have predicted this conversation.
Right.
And I hear what you're saying. People are exhausted. They're at the end of their rope. They're wondering, when is the end of this? There is no light at the end of the tunnel. Even those of us who are glass half full people, I know I am. I think you are too, given that you're doing this podcast. It can be challenging to sustain that. So here's what I know to be true. It's that every one of us has had success and every one of us has a loyal client base, even if it feels like it's dwindling, even if we feel like it's small. How could we lean into that as opposed to focus on all the things that have broken about our business, all the clients we've lost, all of the ways in which our services or our products have been somehow negatively impacted? And I truly say that not in a flippant way. I'm a professional speaker. When you cannot have a group of people together, it's hard to be a professional speaker. So I know what that's like to watch the um, your bank balance go down and to be spending all of your discretionary time dealing with issues related to this that you don't have any control over. And Rob, I think we can both agree that there's so much about our businesses that we've learned about how to fix them, how to improve them, how to stay connected with the clients that matter most to us. That is what we can be doing right now to magnify the greatness that still exists, even the parts that seem to be giving us the most hassle and flack and
Yeah.
aren't don't seem to be working right now.
My I never thought I was a people person.
Hmm.
And people say, well, Rob, you're just filled with sarcasm, and that's kind of my superpower. But what I've realized over the last 9 months is that I am a people person. I miss people. I miss shaking their
Mhm.
hands. I miss
Yeah.
the one-on-one communication. I'm not a hugger, but you know what?
Mhm.
I miss hugging people.
Mhm.
Um, and all those entrepreneurs who have relied so much on their clients coming in and
Mhm.
having that conversation, getting to know them, they're going batty because they can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And we've kind of conditioned now society to do a lot of these Zoom interactions, these and doing more speaking through Zoom, and people are zoomed out.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's um, I know that we're not supposed to touch people and hug people because we might get this pandemic, but we need that interaction as a human person. We
Mhm.
need that to fulfill our lives, and I think that's one way that we need to bring that greatness back.
Well, and this is where, as a recognition expert, where it gets really exciting. I mean, besides the fact that it was probably one of the most hope-filled opportunities when COVID hit, is to see this outpouring of appreciation toward health heroes and other essential practitioners and professionals. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs stepped up into that challenge. They wanted to be part of the solution, even though their businesses were suffering or were being negatively impacted. And of course, some people have also thrived through this too. So,
Hmm.
it's sort of both sides of the continuum and everything in between. Um, and now, sort of that energy, that frenetic helping energy has been lost. And we don't see as many posters and signs. We don't see as many people reaching out. Our healthcare folks are burning out, just like our entrepreneurs. So I would invite anyone who's feeling that sense of disconnection that you just talked about. My clients only want to connect through Zoom if you're a yoga studio and you want to be physically in the studio with them, or you're a bricks and mortar building and you love being able to find the perfect birthday gift for people, but the only thing you have right now is a Shopify store. How can you connect with people in other ways? Because if you're starved for connection, they are definitely starved for connection. And this is where I think not only does it help us feel excited and engaged in our businesses in the moment, it also keeps people more loyal to us later. I can remember driving by last week a sign on a judo studio that said, it was a very negative sign, huge sign, we've been shut down again due to COVID. Thank your government or something. You could hear the negative, the contempt dripping from that sign. And I thought, well, why, if I were running that studio, I don't know what I would do, but could you offer online classes? Could you be doing personal lessons for people who are in their home? Like, there's got to be something that the studio could be doing rather than a woe is me. If we don't reinvent, if we don't use this as an opportunity to engage our clients, to find out, if I were able to still help you buy that gift, if I were able to still offer you those judo lessons, if I were able to still give you that Zen centered that you get when you're on the mat as a group, what would it look like? How many of us are reaching out to our clients and saying, I want to still serve you, I want to still be in your life, or I want to still help you with that, at that key point in your year? What can I do? How can we work together? And that is the amazing thing, is that it helps us to get reignited in our businesses. It helps to build loyalty now. And on the other side of this, because not everybody's reaching out to our clients, we know that. And the other thing is, it allows us to see what people need. They probably needed it all along anyway. What if on the other side of this, the entrepreneurs listening to this find one really juicy idea that they never would have thought of had they not reached out to people, had they
Yeah.
not been sending out surveys and being curious with people about what else could we do or how could we shift things up? It's probably existed. That issue or opportunities existed well before COVID.
It's funny that you mentioned the martial arts. I interviewed Brandon Belizzo out of California a long time ago, I guess right at the very beginning of this pandemic.
Yeah.
And he pivoted.
Mhm.
People couldn't come into his studios. In fact, they still can't because of their governor. And he did everything online. And he's doing more courses. He's offering more things, but it's all online.
Yeah.
But now he's being able to accept students from all over the globe that he wouldn't be able to do before.
Exactly.
And it's you might not think of these things. They all karate, that you got to have that one-on-one interaction. You got to be able to do takedowns and all this. You know what? Some things you just not going to be able to do on video. But
Mhm.
if you can instruct the majority of people, or even more people, through pivoting,
Yeah.
going online, doesn't that benefit everybody?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. And I've certainly, as a speaker, that's what we found, is that at first people were saying, perhaps guest also would have found this too. At first people were, no, we'll just wait until we can have it live. I want that. I want the service the way I've always had it before. And then we had a shift happen. And I don't know if it was everybody woke up one day and they went, that's it, I've had enough of being denied, or or people just came to it on their own. I'm not quite sure. There was a very subtle shift that happened in the summer. And I've had a busier virtual speaking fall than I've ever had as a speaking season. And maybe it's pent up
Yeah.
need. It just all clustered at the end. Or maybe it's that people realize just how much they're missing, things that they would have taken for granted. The martial arts, the going to your local boutique, the speaking in conferences, the reading of books, like, you're talking about how you write so prolifically.
I don't know
We
if prolifically is the word.
well, that's the word on the street. So, but it's that there is still an appetite.
Yeah.
The question is, are we willing to offer something on the menu
Mhm.
that people they're hungry for?
Yeah.
And I love hearing stories like what you just shared of your guest, where he said, "Okay, I want to put something on the buffet. It's got to be something different. So what would it be?" And now he's got an even more abundant menu of
Right.
services to offer, and I certainly do too.
I kind of miss the speaking though, and the conventions. And a lot of times I went to conventions not to speak, or not even to listen to the speakers.
Mhm,
I went there to interact with people in the hallways
mhm,
outside the conference area. The last three conferences I went to, I didn't care about the speakers because I've heard
mhm,
the material over and over again. You know, but I went there to interact, to meet others, and that's where I got a lot of my clients.
mhm.
And when that stopped, I was like, "What do I
Yes,
do now?"
yes. Where
But
are they going to come from? Yeah.
I've always kept my marketing scheduled at least 6 months to a year out.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to my website, and I have blogs written, almost 160 blogs that are written articles that extend all the way out till the end of 2021.
Mhm.
And I've always been that person that always has my marketing planned out way before I even work on my clients, because I don't want to be that guy that says, you know what, uh, kind of like the cobbler's shoes.
Mhm.
He's gotten all his clients stuff done, but you come to his house and it's in disarray.
Yeah.
And then I think that is what helped our business continuously been able to grow through this pandemic.
Mhm.
Where
Mhm.
I saw a lot of people fail because they just didn't have that marketing in place long term. And then when things happened, now they're scrambling to try to get marketing out there, and people were like, well, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
You know,
And if that is the case, how fabulous that you learned it now. Well, we're all in the middle of not all of us in the middle of a crisis as entrepreneurs. Some of us are doing very, very well right now. Insert here anyone making hand sanitizer and masks. But wouldn't you rather it be happening now when we're all in this boat together, as opposed to during the next recession, or when your industry takes a nosedive, or the people that you serve, their industry takes a nosedive? Now is the time to figure out what has been below the waterline all along.
Mhm.
And that COVID has maybe reduced the waterline a bit, and that crack has always been there.
Yeah.
You get a chance to just stare at the crack, be miserable about the crack, fill the crack, patch up the crack. What if, in fact, that crack were your best opportunity? What if, in fact, that were where your greatest joy as an entrepreneur and what your business does best? What if it were your key differentiator? Or what if you tried it and you realized I didn't like it, but heck, you still got a chance to learn a lot and clean up things about your business.
Yeah.
My biggest learning, and I'm curious to know about yours, my biggest learning in 2020 was it was on my own back. I was breaking my back to generate additional revenue every year. Great, business is growing, and I love what I do. And if there is a something that would be written on the tombstone of our family, it is, "Here lay hardworking people."
Mhm.
I was working way too hard.
Yeah.
So my philosophy for 2021 is it's got to be easy.
Yeah.
And so I'm making decisions for the first time as an entrepreneur based on ease. Never would I have come to that place, Rob, had I not experienced two burnouts as an entrepreneur, and seeing what my family is going through as well, right alongside me. And that is a gift. There is no amount of money I could have spent to have somebody convince me of that. No, I had to go through it myself. And so
Well,
anyone listening to this, what are you going through and what is it teaching you?
after I wrote my third book, I was facing burnout, and
Yes.
I'm up to book almost 30 now.
Yeah.
But
You say that's prolific. Just to go back to an earlier point, I
the
don't know about prolific. I'm not quite sure at what, you know.
I'm averaging about 4 books a year now. Not only for me but for my clients. We write their books, but at the third book mark, I was burned out.
Mhm.
And I looked at everything that I was doing, and I kind of used that acronym, that KISS acronym, but I kind of changed it. Keep it stupidly simple,
Yes.
because when I look at everything that's going on, is that everybody's building these funnels, or they're getting these
Mhm.
these loaded bells and whistles email CRMs, and they're spending hundreds of dollars for all these things, and they don't know how to use them.
Right.
And here I am using this little constant contact email service that's less than 20 bucks a month, and that's doing everything I want it to do, by keeping it stupidly simple. And everybody else is losing their freaking minds because they're spending all this money on stuff that they don't know how to use. They
Mhm.
and so I went about looking at my entire business from top to bottom on
Mhm.
how I can not only reduce the amount of time I put into it, but how to make it stupidly simple. And
Mhm.
now I'm going into 2020. I thought, okay, this is the hours I'm going to work. But I realized that with the pandemic, I was able to get so much work done when I hyper focused on just 3 or 4 hours a day. And,
Mhm.
and and everybody else is like, well, I need 12 hours to get what
Yes.
you've just done in 4.
Mhm.
No, you don't. You get rid of all the distractions, hyper focus. You get it done very quickly, and get rid of all those funnels that are just driving you bad. So that's what I did. And now I'm working 4-hour days, and I'm making more money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that a lot of entrepreneurs can really wrestle with the, do I serve businesses? Do I serve individuals? B2C, B2B,
Right.
or in some of our cases as solopreneurs, me to B or me to C. And that's been a big clarifier for me. I think it's been a big clarifier for a lot of the speakers and trainers and coaches and consultants and others who serve from a service-based product delivery system, is you got to get super clear on that. Because if you're trying to serve customers who are individuals as well as customers who have a complicated corporate structure, and when I say complicated, it doesn't have to be Pepsi Cola.
Right.
It can be as complicated as 5 people, but who does what? We have an opportunity to look at all of these things that are irritant pebbles in our shoe. The, I don't know who to contact, I don't know the name of the person who hires me, I'm not quite sure how they find me. Learn about all these things now, and to your point, that's what knocks off the hours later. It takes a bit of work to figure that out now. However, wouldn't it be great to not have to manage 2 sets of marketing for B2B and B2C? Wouldn't it be great to know that all the connections you need on LinkedIn have the job title of A, B, or C?
Mhm.
I think that that's a, I think, a version of KISS that a lot of us don't really spend much time thinking about.
I mean, you call them irritant pebbles. I call them pitas, pain in the asses.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
I've learned to say no very quickly to those. And when they start to really bug me, they become subjects in my Rob versus books. And then those irritant pebbles have a kind of
Have a
a history,
purpose.
a
Yeah.
purpose, yeah,
Yeah.
a legacy to teach others on how
Yeah.
not to do things.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest thing, I think, starting off as an entrepreneur a long, long time ago, is when to say no.
Mhm.
I had this vision in my head of this avatar, this client that I want to service. And if there's certain red flags that start to shoot up, no, no,
Mhm.
go somewhere else. And by rejecting all those no's right away, I can say yes to that perfect person. And usually they spend more money.
Mhm.
They allow me to you know help them so much greater, and
Mhm.
they appreciate what we do for them.
Mhm. And I've learned that as entrepreneurs, as individuals, as moms, dads, like all the different roles that we occupy, when we have a hard time saying no, it's because we believe that the yes to others is more important than a yes to ourselves.
Mhm.
So I think what I'm hearing from you, Rob, is that you've said yes to your right as the CEO of your own business to make yourself happy and to make sure that what you do best is matched up with the people you could do your best work for.
Mhm.
And that's maybe an opportunity for a lot of folks listening too, is if you're not doing work that you love, where is the joy? Where's those sweet spots? And are you saying yes out of fear to other things, especially right now? Where's the next paycheck coming in from? What will it look like this time next year? So forth. What if in fact your big yes? So even if, let's say, you have a bricks and mortar restaurant, and there's the stat in Canada is that 50% of independently owned restaurants are likely to go bankrupt in the next 6 months. So it sounds almost counterintuitive to say, well, I can't say no to anybody or anything. I have to say yes to everything. Well, what if in fact your best customers, the ones you loved having in your restaurant, the ones who always spend the most amount of money, were people who were, dual income, no kids, who worked out of town, and know who that is, and then find the perfect offering for them right now.
Mhm.
And what if you love doing that? So you have the, I don't know, the home meal kits and the chef training, on Friday nights, gather all your friends together. If we're in a Zoom world, let's make it work for our business and make it specific for your perfect customer.
Mhm.
And then it's no longer, oh, I have to serve all these other people in my restaurant because I have to be able to, pay the bills. It's if we could have anybody, our best client, our best service as our core offering, what would that be? And what if?
Right.
How might we? And my business coach, she and I talk about, she was sharing with me, Sarah, one of the things you need to do at the beginning of 2021 is tsunami planning. Get all of the people that you absolutely love and that you think are, you respect them tremendously, family, friends, fellow colleagues, clients, and you get together in a Zoom room and you do breakouts around tsunami planning. If there were the equivalent of a tsunami, which for me it might be Sarah gets sick and can't be the one delivering the programs, or the money gets tied up and we don't have any of the money in the bank account for the next 3 months. So different scenarios, worst case scenarios. What if this goes worse?
Right.
And Sarah cannot be in front of an audience. Rob can't be in front of an audience for the next 3 years. And if that's how long it goes on,
I think
what
some
would
of
you
my
do?
audience members would enjoy that.
Yeah, yeah. No, they wouldn't enjoy that. They would love they well, they would
They
as
would
long as
love
they're
that. That's
producing your
right.
podcast. Pardon?
No, I mean, I've always encouraged all my entrepreneurs to have a plan B.
Yes.
And if not a plan B, there's 20 some more alphabet letters to create
Mhm.
your manuals, but you should have a manual about almost everything that you do in your business.
Yes.
The
Yes.
systems, how you do, because if you need to be replaced very quickly, or you break your leg, you got COVID, you're in a hospital, you can't breathe, someone needs to step in and look at that
Mhm.
manual and say, okay, this is what we do, this is how you
Yep.
do it. And within a day or two of them looking through that manual, they can start doing what you've done for the last, so many years.
Exactly.
Now, you've taken it a step further, because a tsunami is that catastrophic thing
Mhm.
that, could impact you within the next 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Where is that manual?
Right. Right. It's a great point though, because we didn't go straight to tsunami planning. We do have standard operating procedures in the business, and that all the people that I work with, they all know exactly what their roles, responsibilities are, and not only the core work that they need to do, it's also broken down into steps and the why behind it, and so forth. So I think that's really good counsel for entrepreneurs, that if you don't have some standard operating procedures, some steps, some checklists, templates, tools, that if you all of a sudden couldn't do your work for a day, a week, a month, a year, could somebody step in and carry the torch? Maybe not even quite as well as you. It just
Right.
could keep the lights on, metaphorically or physically.
Right.
Um, And so that's really great advice. And I definitely know that in my field, at least, very few people have that in place. So what a
Well,
wonderful place to start.
the very first thing on my plan B says number one, have sarcasm.
Sarcasm. See, there you go.
And then
Some of us wwouldn't be quite as good as
and,
you, but
and
hey, like, passable, passable.
then after that, it's just all stress induced planning.
Yeah.
No, it's just I just think that the pandemic has done plus and minus to a lot of businesses. I mean,
Mhm.
our business has grown. I think because of the fact that people weren't planning their marketing, they didn't know how to do things. Pandemic hit, they didn't have online customer outbound customers coming into their store because there was no marketing place. And they say, hey,
Mhm.
Rob, help us do this, help us do that. And we were able to help them get through and make money and be profitable through the
Mhm.
pandemic. But it's not just independent restaurants that are failing. Chain restaurants are failing
Right.
big, I think,
Mhm.
faster because
Mhm.
they did their whole operating procedure relies on those
Mhm.
franchise fees being paid into that master program, and it wasn't happening.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
but I think that 2021 is going to be one of those years where we're back to growth. You know, uh, 2020 was that year that kind of killed a lot of businesses, but 2021 is going to be a growth year, and then 2022 is going to be that profit-driven year again. I just think 2021 it has to be that year that they realize that the tsunami had come.
Mhm.
Now it's time to get things back in order.
Yeah, yeah. And it may not be the fun part. Cleaning up the beach and,
Yeah.
rebuilding, that's not necessarily the fun part. So who do you know that is 100% in your corner that wants to help you do the rebuilding? How can you say you're on team Sarah, you're on team Rob. I need you, and ask for help, because we very rarely do us entrepreneurs like to ask for help.
Right.
So if there is some cleanup to do, who is there and wanting an opportunity to help us to be successful? And that includes our clients. And I'm not saying we say to them, could you help me? It's, I am still here for you. If I could support you in any way, even if it's completely different than how we've worked together before, what is something I can do for you?
Right.
And there's actually some interesting research around the difference between asking, is there anything I can do for you? And what is something I can do for you? It actually comes out of the medical world, doctors doing this with their patients. But I think that we can sort of learn from some of that initially medical based research, because I've been experimenting with this, Rob. I don't know if you do this. I'm a student of psychology, so I just love a good human experiment here. People don't always realize this happening, but I will say, what is there anything I can do for you? Is what I normally would say is, what is something I can do for you?
Mhm.
Almost always somebody tells me what I can do for them.
And I I kind of do the same thing. Although I will spend time in a mall. I hate malls. I don't like shopping, but I will sit down with like a pretzel and just pretend I'm just enjoying my pretzel. But I'll observe people as they go through, and I can pinpoint the people out that have money or depressed or whatever their situation. It's in their face, and you can use that their facial features as indicators on how you can help them better.
Mm,
And so you walk up to somebody, how can I help you? And or what can I do to help you? Because you
mhm,
can tell. Hey, I see that you're kind of sad. Is there anything I can help you with?
mhm,
What do you mean? How do you? But you can tell their face.
mhm,
Um, so I think that we as entrepreneurs also need to learn how to read our customers
mhm. Yeah.
because everybody is unique. Nobody is a cookie cutter. Everything that you have in your systems may not apply,
Mhm,
but that person could end up being your greatest client if you just
And
took the
every
time to.
person needs to feel seen, heard, and valued as an individual.
Hmm.
So the more we lean into that, the more likely we are building that loyal customer base as well, because they're treated like a number
Yeah.
virtually everywhere. I mean, there's certainly lots to be said about convenience. We're using ordering at home and all of those convenience factors, and people are still craving
Yeah.
somebody in their own community who knows what they want, who they need, that their mom's name is Sharon and that their dog, is a Cocker Spaniel. They want to have that sense of connection to people, and the more you know your customers, the more you know people like your customers, and frankly, the more you do work in your community that matters,
Hmm.
and that you therefore matter by extension to what they care about. The more likely I think we are to be not a business, but a service or a set of products that are there for the individual versus this capitalistic there for our benefit. Yes, of course, it's for our benefit and it's for our benefit.
Right.
And I think the most loyal clients realize that we are as much in it for them as we are for us, our own safety, security, and our family's well-being too.
Yeah,
It's
and
both
that was the whole purpose of these podcasts,
and.
is
Mhm,
that it's not for me. I mean, I
mhm,
do learn a lot of things from a lot of the speakers, but ultimately it's to help entrepreneurs stay in business,
mhm,
to learn different ways to overcome and to enhance their superpowers. And
mhm.
I'm doing this for you guys, and I hope that one day you appreciate it. But I'm also hoping that somewhere down the road you do something in return to help others. So
Mhm,
create a podcast, write a book, do something, but make your legacy last for someone else to enjoy.
mhm.
So how can my audience connect with you? Where do they go?
They are welcome to reach out to me on my website, greatnessmagnified.com. And if you want to connect via social, all my links are there.
And if you're in Ontario, you can just stop on by.
Ontario wine country, no less. It's not been a hard time place to be locked down, I'll tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm stuck in Pennsylvania, and although I have been doing some traveling, every time I come back, it's a 14-day quarantine, and luckily, I think I had this early on. I back in 2019, in November 2019, I came back from a trip from San Francisco, and about a week later, I was sick for a long time. The doctors couldn't
Mhm,
figure it out, and then my daughter got sick, and they had to put her on the oxygen.
mhm.
But we recovered, and
Mm,
but I've never been
mm.
tested for antibodies. I've never taken the the what is it? What are they calling it nowadays? The the drug.
Yeah.
I don't know if I will. I haven't taken a flu shot in 27 years. I always just try to stay healthy.
Mhm.
Mhm. But we're getting to that point where people's fear runs their stress, and they they don't know where to go.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they learn a lot from this interview, and please visit Sarah and learn from her, because if you're an entrepreneur dealing with stress, dealing with this lockdown, and not knowing how to pivot, she's going to teach you some valuable lessons.
Mhm. Well, if I can leave anyone with one tiny, small, infinitesimal step forward, just a little bit, recognize somebody today. Recognize a supplier, a customer, somebody in your family that has been your rock or just simply been who you needed them to be in this particular moment. And that will make you feel so much more in control and confident about who you are and what you're doing in the world, and it creates a ripple effect. So recognition is it that's my superpower, and I would love for it to be everyone's superpower.
And that's what makes Sarah an e-hero. So I'll see you guys on the next episode, and have a great one.
Thank you.